She fell to her knees on the wet sand, and the cold water rose up to her hands as if the sea itself wanted to touch her back. "It is true," she whispered, with a broken voice. "He really exists." Behind her, an old man, bent by the years and by the weight of a secret kept his whole life, cried without caring if anyone saw him. Because it was not only the sea that Lucia was seeing for the first time. It was the promise of a father she never knew, finally fulfilled. It was a guilt of 15 years, finally forgiven. How can a child dream of something she has never seen? And what do we adults do when the fear of losing someone makes us hide from the other exactly what they need the most? This is the story of a girl from the countryside, of a family that learned to love in silence, and of a journey that took an entire lifetime to begin. Before we continue, subscribe here to the channel and leave your comment telling. Have you ever had a dream that seemed impossible for a long time? Primera Y and Tito no. Now, let's go to the beginning of everything, in the village of Sarafunda, where the houses were made of white taipa and the afternoon smelled of wood stove smoke. Everyone knew the story of the girl who talked about the sea as if it were a dear person who was about to arrive. Lucia was 8 years old when she found the portrait. It was under her grandmother's straw mattress, inside a rusty biscuit tin that held buttons, threads, and a bundle of letters tied with string. At the bottom of the tin, protected by a piece of cloth, there was a black and white photograph. A young man with a wide smile, with his feet in the sand and an immensity of water behind him. Water that seemed to have no end. "Grandma, what place is that?" Lucia asked, her eyes shining. The grandmother, Donna Zulmira, stood still at the kitchen door for a long time before answering. "That is the sea, my daughter." "And who is that man?" The silence that came after was greater than any answer. Donna Zulmira took the photograph from her granddaughter's hands with a care that Lucia did not understand, put it back in the tin, and said only, "Go play, girl. It is already late." But Lucia did not forget. That night, and in many others that came after, she lay looking at the clay ceiling, imagining that enormous water, trying to guess the sound it made, the color it had up close, the taste it left in the air. Lucia lived with her grandmother and her mother, Donna Amelia, in a small house at the end of the main street. The father was never mentioned. When Lucia asked, the mother always answered with the same phrase, like someone repeating a prayer. "Your father is no longer with us, daughter, and some things are better left alone." There was, in the house, an unwritten rule, but felt by everyone. They did not talk about the sea. They did not talk about the father, and the two things seemed, in Lucia's eyes, strangely linked. This did not prevent her from dreaming. In the small village school, where classes took place in a red-tiled shed, the teacher, Donna Erasima, brought an old geography book one day, with engravings of beaches and boats. Lucia devoured those pages with her eyes, and from that day on, her favorite game was to draw the sea on the beaten earth of the backyard, using a stick. The other boys laughed. "You will never see any sea, Lucia," said Beto, the son of the store owner. "Here we only see dust and skinny cattle." "One day I will," she replied, unfazed. "One day I will step on the sand and wet my feet in the salty water. I know I will." She did not know where that certainty came from. She only knew that she felt the sea inside her chest, like a longing for a place where she had never been. What Lucia did not know was that, every night, after she fell asleep, her grandmother would sit on the veranda, look toward the dark horizon in the direction where, many and many kilometers away, the coast was, and cry softly, so that no one would hear her. Because Donna Zulmira carried a secret that hurt more than any hard work in the fields, more than any dry winter. And she saw, every day, that secret grow before her, with the curious eyes and the heart full of dreams of a girl who looked more and more like the man in that photograph. If this story is already touching your heart, leave it here below where you are watching, and continue with us until the end. Because what comes now will change everything you understood until here. The years pass slowly in Sarafunda, in the way they pass in places where time is measured by harvests and not by the clock. Lucia grew up, and with her grew also the dream of the sea. And, along with it, a stubbornness that worried her mother and filled her grandmother with a mix of pride and fear. At 13 years old, Lucia started working after school, helping Su Osvaldo, owner of the grocery store, to organize the shelves and make deliveries. The pay was little, but she saved every coin in a matchbox hidden behind a loose brick in the room. "What is this for, my granddaughter?" asked Dana Zulmira one day when she found the girl counting the little coins by candlelight. "It is for the sea, Grandma. When I am old enough, I will work until I save enough money for transportation, and I will go there, even if I am alone." Those words pierced the grandmother's chest like an arrow. It was in that same week that Dana Amelia fell ill. A strong fever left her in bed for days, and in the middle of the delirium, she began to say things that Lucia had never heard. "Do not go, Coriolano. Do not enter the water today. This sky is wrong." Lucia, sitting by the bed, holding a wet cloth on her mother's forehead, was "Grandma," she called, her voice trembling. "Who is Coriolano?" Donna Zulmira, who was preparing tea in the adjacent kitchen, dropped the cup. The noise of the glass shattering on the floor echoed through the entire house like a confession. She entered the room, looked at her granddaughter, and finally, after so many years, told the truth she had been hiding. "Coriolano was your father, Lucia, and he died at sea." Lucia's world shook. She had always known there was a mystery, but she never imagined that the answer was so close and so far at the same time. Close enough to live inside her own house, far enough to never have been said out loud. Donna Zulmira told, between tears, the story she had carried for 15 years. Coriolano was a fisherman, a man with calloused hands and an easy laugh, in love with Amelia since he was 16. When the two got married, he promised that one day he would take his wife and the children that came to know that sea he loved so much. But 1 month before Lucia was born, during a fishing trip, a sudden storm capsized the boat. Coriolano managed to save 2 companions, pushing them toward another boat that was passing nearby, but he did not have the strength to save himself too. "Your mother never wanted to hear about the sea again after that," said Donna Zulmira, her voice choked. "And I was so afraid that you would also fall in love with that water, that you would run away there, that you would do the same as your father, that I preferred to let you think it was just a silly child's dream. Forgive me, my granddaughter, forgive me." Lucia remained silent for a long time, feeling her heart break and complete itself at the same time. Break for the pain of a loss she never knew she had. Complete. Because she finally understood where that call she felt since she was little came from. It was not a silly dream. It was inheritance. It was her father's sea, running inside her like a hidden river. "I am not angry, Grandma," she said, finally, holding the wrinkled hands of her grandmother, "but I need to go. Not to run away from anything. To finish what he started, to look at the sea and say to it, 'I arrived, Father.'" Donna Amelia, still weak from the fever, heard everything from the bed, with silent tears streaming down her face. And for the first time in 15 years, she did not say no. If you have ever carried a secret to protect those you love and discovered that that silence hurt more than the truth would hurt, write it here below. I want to read your story, and subscribe to the channel, because the end of this journey is still to come. 2 years passed between that night of confessions and the day when the journey finally happened. It was not easy. Donna Amelia needed time to make peace with the pain she had carried for so long, and Donna Zulmira needed to sell the family's only dairy cow and ask for a loan from Su Osvaldo to complete the bus ticket money that, added to the coins saved by Lucia since she was 13, finally formed enough for the 3 of them to make the trip together. On the eve of departure, Lucia could not sleep. She sat on the veranda, looking at the stars, imagining what the sound of that water she only knew through a yellowed photograph and her mother's sad memories would be like. "Are you afraid?" asked Donna Amelia, sitting down next to her daughter. A little, Lucia admitted. What if I do not feel what I always imagined? What if, when I see the sea, I only feel the lack of him? Donna Emilia put her arm around her daughter's shoulders and took a deep breath, like someone gathering courage after many years. Avoiding that moment, your father loved that water more than anything in this world, aside from you and me. He said that the sea taught humility because it was too big for any man to control. I spent 15 years angry at the sea, but today I understood one thing. It was not the sea that took him from me. It was his generous heart that preferred to save the others. The sea was just there. The journey began at dawn. It was 18 hours on the road in 3 different buses, crossing landscapes that Lucia had never seen. Big cities, bridges, plantations that seemed endless, but nothing prepared her for the moment when the last bus made a curve, and between 2 buildings appeared, for the first time, a blue line meeting the sky. "Grandma Lucia," whispered, her face pressed against the window. Grandma looked. Donna Zulmira looked, and her hands trembled on her lap. When they got off the bus, Lucia did not wait for anyone. She took off her shoes right on the sidewalk and ran like she had never run before, her bare feet touching sand for the first time in her life, until the cold water reached her ankles and she fell to her knees, exactly as at the beginning of this story. "It is true," she whispered. "He really exists." Behind her, Donna Zulmira cried, feeling the weight of 15 years of silence finally dissolve like salt in the water. And Donna Amelia, with hesitant steps, also approached until the water touched her feet. For the first time since she had become a widow, the 3 stayed there, embraced, wet with salty water and tears, while the afternoon sun painted everything golden. "Father," Lucia said, looking toward the horizon, "I arrived. I took a long time, but I arrived, and I brought them with me." That night, sitting on the sand, still warm, Donna Emilia told Lucia all the stories she had kept about Coriolano. The way he sang while mending the nets, the laugh that echoed through the fishing village, the affection with which he spoke of the son or daughter who was still to come. And for the first time, telling these stories did not hurt. It hurt with longing, but it was a pain that could be embraced. No longer a pain that needed to be hidden. There are dreams that we carry without knowing exactly where they came from, as if they were a silent inheritance, passed not in words, but in something deeper, that lives in the blood and in the heart. And there are silences that we keep out of love, thinking we are protecting those we love, when in reality, we are only postponing a necessary encounter with the truth. Lucia's story reminds us that hidden pain grows in the dark, but when it is brought to light, with courage and with love, it can transform into something different, into memory, into inheritance, into a bridge between generations. Perhaps you also carry a dream that seems impossible. Perhaps there is, in your family, a silence that needs, finally, to be broken. If this story touched you in some way, know that it is never too late to walk to your own sea, whatever it may be. If you made it this far, thank you for walking this journey with us. Subscribe here to the Cree channel so you do not miss the next stories, and leave in the comments, what is your sea? That dream you still carry, waiting for the right moment to finally go to it. A hug, and until the next story.